Certainly not a thing of beauty, that's for sure. But you'll take it. 103-94. The Kings win. They are now 3-0 on this lengthy 7-game trip. Ryan in Sacktown in just a moment. We are so happy that you were here. Postgame, Kings win. Light the beam if you don't like that.
3, 2, 1, go.
Sacramento miscue. Carter, stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball.
Fox, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation point from De'Aaron Fox. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Boy, that's an ESPN highlight right there. Whoa. Carlson comes in. How about this? Holy moly, Jim Bob Foley. That is a major league smush.
And we break it down with Ryan in Sacktown. How about Sabonis with 26 rebounds, a career high?
Absolute beast tonight, Grant. He continues rolling. Had 21 in the last game against Memphis. So wish he could play against them every game.
Listen, I'll take the win, but there's nothing to really get excited about from this game. That was horrible.
Grant, how much nuance is in this that you've got guys on the roster that have never played in the NBA or rarely, so there's not tape on them?
Maybe. But I also think if you watch Memphis, though, I told you the Dick Motta story a couple of days ago.
Yes.
Guys that are playing for their basketball livelihood are going to play every possession like it's their last, and you see what happens. I mean, look at the effort of the Memphis Grizzlies in this game. I mean, it was very apparent. Yeah.
Incredible. I mean, you look at scoring, 102 points. Most teams in the NBA are going to beat you. That's all the Kings put up against one Memphis Grizzlies starter, and the rest.
I only knew who Jaren Jackson Jr. was. I had never heard of anyone else. And here's the other thing, Ryan. They played last night. They played in Indiana last night.
Exactly right. And they had to make roster moves today, up to 2 hours before the game, roster moves. So some of this goes to play, but the coaching staff shares their blame here too, Grant. They did not change pace at all. Why did you not dictate pace tonight? Kings
were awful tonight, other than Sabonis. I don't know what else to say. And they got really not very much from their bench. But, again, they played poorly and they won. Now you go to Miami and they are having – Miami lost again. I don't know what has happened to the Miami Heat. They look terrible right now. And then you play Indiana, who's in New York the night before. So all of a sudden, we were thinking 4-3. You might be able to do a heck of a lot more than 4-3 on this trip, but you're not going to win many more games on this trip if you play the way you did tonight.
Hey, the opponents could send the Kings to school with books, but the Kings can still eat the covers, right? You can set them up to be successful, but the Kings have to do better than they did tonight. And Grant, you look at the Kings' success over the last few games. Last game, they only shot 30 3-pointers, and they also got to the line 30 times. I know they only made 23 of 30, but tonight, Grant, 38 threes. You only get to the free throw line 10 times against who? It looked like, Grant, other than Jaren Jackson, it looked like a G League team out there against the Kings.
Well,
no disrespect.
Unbelievable. So next up is Miami, who's lost 7 in a row. Think about that for a minute. And here's the other thing that happened tonight. The Clippers lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans lost. Dallas lost. I mean, this is a good game. I mean, you look at all the teams in the West. Phoenix is the only team really that won. Let me read these scores. The Rockets, I shouldn't say that game is not a final yet. I beg your pardon, all right? So I don't want to jump ahead. The Rockets are beating the Lakers with 3 minutes left, 122-111. I'm going to count that as a win. It's now 123-111. All right, there's a minute left to go in Oklahoma City. The Timberwolves are leading 101-97. The Mavericks have come back. They're leading the Magic by 1. The Nuggets and Bucks are tied at the half. All right, the Clippers lost. The Celtics beat the Pelicans 118-112. And again, the Suns won 118-105. So,
hey, the Kings handled their business. Let's kind of separate here. They handled their business. They do good. They pick that up when teams lose tonight. But, it's one of those things. Grant, this is where I wanted to see the Kings excel. This is where I wanted them to get rest and build on the advantages they have sometimes throughout this road trip, and it didn't happen. You needed almost a career-tying night on the boards from Sabonis?
I know.
Tough ask. Yep. I mean, it's the Kings. It's the Kings,
but they're 3-0 on this road trip, and
they are.
Any win on the road's a good road or a good win. So now it's on to Miami, then Indiana, then Chicago. Those are your next games coming up. The Chicago's on the second night of a back-to-back. You get Indiana on their second night of a back-to-back. You're taking a Miami team that looks terrible right now. So let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Hey, we talked about a 4-3 road trip before the Golden State game. Both of us, we said we'd take it, right? We adjusted.
We thought that was the key game on this trip. We thought that would set the tone for this trip.
100%. 3-0 now. They win that game. And look, we said 5-2 now. Should we move to 6-0? Can they do it? Did they get the bad out of their system?
Based on the fact that Miami's playing so badly, and you have Indiana, we don't know about Halliburton on the second night of a back-to-back. If you win both those games, you're 5-0 with only 2 games left.
Yeah, there you go. And you set yourself up nice. Can they make it better on this road trip and finish it right as opposed to last road trip?
All right, again, Minnesota is going to beat the Thunder in OKC. It's 105-97. The Lakers are going to lose again. The Rockets are going to beat them 126-111. I shouldn't say lose again. They just beat the Warriors, but the Lakers aren't very good. Again, the Mavs are leading the Magic by 3 at the end of the third, and we'll keep an eye on the rest of the scores. But again, all right, we'd love to hear from you. Here's the link, all right? You can hit us up if you want to join us on the postgame. We would love to be able to take some of your phone calls and talk a little bit about what happened tonight. I'm not getting excited on anything tonight. I think it's great to watch Sabonis go to work like that. He was just a man amongst boys tonight. That was an incredible performance with 26 rebounds. That's just unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an unbelievable performance, and it's in character for him. He's having an amazing season, Grant. You can't say MVP without mentioning at least his name. As we said, we're opening up the show to you guys, so get in here. First, we get to Dirk. Welcome to If You Don't Like That. You're on with Grant.
Hey, Dirk.
Hey, figured I'd do some camera today.
Yeah.
Or my good hat.
Yeah.
Man, that was a horrible game.
Awful.
We got it out of the way. I mean, this is one where Sabonis needed to have one because they don't have any rebounders, right? So you knew he was going to have a monster game, and he did. I didn't know Malik Monk would play so bad. I don't know.
Terrible.
Yeah, maybe it's Memphis going against Ja Morant every day. They just play better against athletic guards because De'Aaron had to get it going a little bit too. But I'm glad Herter found his shot a little bit. We did enough. The only question I have at the end of the game, no Keegan Murray. I hope it's not injury or anything. That back acting up. It worked out, so I'm good. I just hope he's okay.
Yeah, Morant's not playing. Morant's out for the year, but Murray was very ineffective in this game. He only had 5 points and 5 rebounds, so we'll keep an eye on him.
And the defense wasn't there tonight, so cool. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Dirk. One note about the defense, though, that I want to throw in, Grant. This is already a team that struggles with dribble penetration, and you throw some undersized guys out there for the bigs to chase around, and even some of the Kings guards. That's a little bit of a tough guard sometimes. So, anyways, we get back to the phone. We get to Condog 209. Condog, throw the arms up, buddy. Yeah. Kings win.
All right. So, I guess not only did we have 10 free throws, but Fox was the only one at the line. I don't think I've seen a game where only one player is at the free throw line.
And he missed 4 of them. He only shot 60%, 6 of 10. That's terrible.
Yeah, so as a team, we shot 60%, which is terrible due to that.
But you're right. You know what? I want to stop you guys for a minute. With all the games that I've ever announced in 32 years, I don't recall only one player going to a free throw line during a game. So you make a good point. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, that's I was shocked when I saw it. I was like, huh? But, getting to the line, is also, could be officiating, but also getting to the line could just be effort on your end as a player. Because if you can, if you drive in, you're going to get to the line, especially in this league and the modern NBA for sure with how they call fouls. So I think that's a lack of effort on our offense. We didn't step on the gas, and really, we didn't win this game until the final 3 minutes.
Final 2 minutes.
This was dangerous. This was a depleted team. Could have ended up like the other games where teams were depleted, missing players, and we didn't execute. But luckily, this team was so depleted because they just had no star.
Not that depleted. The Kings bench only scored one more point. The Grizzlies bench.
You got me there. Got me there, Ryan. You know what? You got me there, man. But yeah, hey, sometimes 3-0 on road trips are ugly, and this was one of the ugly ones.
Well, you take the win, but there's nothing to really get excited about other than Sabonis. And, you're taking on a team that's going to be desperate for a win coming up next in Miami, who lost to Phoenix 118-105. They're going to be desperate. They've lost 7 in a row. And you look at their roster is much better than that. I mean, I'm looking at the Miami starters, with Rozier, Hero, Butler, Adebayo. They're much better than that.
Spoelstra, he's one of the best coaches in the modern NBA by far.
Yes.
I would say he's right behind Phil Jackson for modern NBA coaching because Pop. I would say he's just right behind those guys.
It's pretty good, but hey, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much.
All right, later.
All right. Hey, I want to share Bennett's with you, and we're sending Jerry Reynolds there for his 80th birthday. We'd like to invite you to check out one of their 3 locations, Sacramento, Roseville, and Bennett's Westside Grill at the Blue Oaks Town Center in Rockland. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Make a reservation, check out the menu and more. Don't forget about the weekend brunch, the weekend prime rib, 60 different types of wine available by the glass. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Kings won it. They are now 3-0 on the 7-game trip with the Miami Heat coming up next.
Yes, indeed. It'll be a different class of basketball, certainly when they roll into Miami. And hey, by the way, speaking of Bennett's, everybody, it is not too late for you to win a $25 Bennett's gift card. You see our Twitter handles or our X handles right there below us. Tweet at us 3 emojis that best describe Jerry Reynolds on his 80th birthday. We're going to let Jerry choose the winner, and you will win a $25 Bennett's gift card.
Love it. Love it. That's good stuff.
Get to our X pages right now. We go back to the phones. Landon, welcome to If You Don't Like That.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking me. Can you hear me?
Yep. Gotcha. Thanks, Landon. What can we do for you?
Sweet. Yeah, I was just going to say, I thought Herter also had a pretty good game. I was looking at the stat sheet, and, he went 3 for 8 from 3. Not the best, but his things like he had a nice pass to Sabonis, and of course, Sabonis played brilliantly. I think I was checking, he had 26 boards, which was a Sacramento era tying record.
Yeah, with Chris Webber. Yep.
Yeah, that was great to see. But other than that, the turnovers, I mean, what did we have, 20 or something? It was just atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, other than Sabonis, there's really not a lot to look at in this game in terms of a real big positive. Other than the fact that they won the game where they didn't play well. But, you look at the opponent tonight. I mean, other than Jaren Jackson, I had never heard of any of these guys. They literally got, G League players that they were signing at the last minute. They could barely get a team on the floor of 8 players in this game. But you're going to have to play much better than this in the next several games coming up on the road.
Yep, hoping for the win in Miami, and thanks for taking me.
Hey, thank you for calling, Landon. Have a good evening. Appreciate it. All right.
Hey, Grant, how special if the Joker was not in the NBA right now and Domas was doing what he's doing this season and just in his career, how much more would Domas be talked about in this league?
Not until he got a playoff series win under his belt or 2. So, our society is about what do you do in the postseason? And he doesn't have anything to really show for that. So, in my opinion, playing in a market like Sacramento, not having a playoff series, probably not that much more, in all honesty. I think in order for that to occur, the Kings are going to have to win a playoff series or 2. I really believe that.
We will see if they can pull that off. But I mean, Sabonis, what can you say about him? We go international. We check in with Baki. Baki, did you catch the halftime show by chance?
Yes, I did. Of course.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah, he put a message out for Jerry. He put a nice message out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it.
We were together. We were 5 of us were here, and we were watch the early NBA. And we wish to Jerry and to say about this game is I don't want to say a thing about this game. I would like Kings to dedicate this game to Jerry Reynolds, not to dedicate the way of play, not to dedicate our nerves, just to dedicate the result. We win the game, and I mean it's smarter to think about the next game because those Miami Heat, they really suck this time. But
Yeah.
as Grant already said, those Miami Heat, they can make sometimes great boom. So they can destroy any team in this league. That's my opinion.
They can, and they're not going to
Well-
lose the rest of. They're not going to lose the rest of their games this year. They're going to start winning eventually, and
They must start to win, and they already have. I don't know. I'm not remember. Maybe what is the losing streak right now? It's 3 or
7.
4, 7. So they are on the 7 losing streak. Man, that's the danger. Okay, they
not only
it
that,
could-
not only have they lost 7 in a row, they've fallen from 4th in the East to 8th in the East. I mean, they dropped 4 spots during this streak.
So we are close to half of the season. So they must do something. So I hope they will start doing it after the next game. But
Yeah,
I think we need to bring a game to win this game. That's my opinion.
Well, Baki, as we've said all post-game show, Grant and I can only name Jaren Jackson Jr. coming into the game or knew of his play. They roll into Miami, and your starting lineup's going to be matching up with Terry Rozier, Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Haywood Highsmith. I mean, other than Highsmith, that's a tough matchup for the Kings, regardless of whether you've lost or won 7 games in a row.
Yeah.
Well, not only that it's tough matchup, but we are already 3 games on the road trip, so they must feel some tired. I don't know.
They're not tired. The Kings,
they're
not tired. They're not.
I
tired.
don't know. Something.
They're not tired. Trust me, they're not tired.
Yep.
They're not tired. They've had days off between every game. They're not tired.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. If any team was tired tonight, it was Memphis. They played last night. Okay.
Yeah, this one was very loose game from both of them.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
You expect that from Memphis. They've never played together before. This is the first time they've ever been on the court together.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, as Grant said, the Kings got it done, right? And a lot of the teams in the Western Conference, near the top of the Western Conference, are losing tonight. So at least the team at the top will have lost, right? Between Minnesota and the Thunder.
So we can call ourselves back-to-back ambush team.
Yeah, there you go. Baki, we appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah,
Grant,
the Maverick score now is 96-94 in the 4th. Dallas is leading. Go ahead, Ryan.
Does it take, like, when you talk about a team being tired, let's take the back-to-backs out of it. Do you consider until you get to like the 3rd time zone on a long road trip, let's not talk about the guys being tired yet?
Yeah. Good team. First of all, good teams don't even ever talk about it. They don't. The good teams don't ever talk about that. It's generally talked about when you lose or you're looking for an excuse. Good teams, they don't talk about being tired, especially the Kings aren't tired on this trip. They had several days off before the Warriors game, right? Then they had a full day off. Then they had another full day off.
Yeah.
I mean, these are supremely conditioned young athletes. They're not getting tired from playing 35 minutes of basketball and then 48 hours later playing another 35 minutes. That's nonsense. That's absurd. It's ridiculous.
Well, Grant, you know who's not tired? That's us, because we're here with you right here on If You Don't Like That. Kings win tonight in Memphis. We're going back to the phone, so we go back to Andrew. Andrew, thanks for waiting. How you doing tonight, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Good, Andrew.
I'm thoroughly disappointed in this game tonight. I really think, does Sabonis not have 26 rebounds? The Kings flat out lose to a G League team minus Jared Jackson. And, does Sabonis not have 26 rebounds? The story tonight is completely different. We're talking about one of the worst losses probably of the season, maybe in the last couple seasons.
I would agree.
And so it's just plain and simple. They didn't show up tonight. And, I was sitting at work and I get notifications on my phone. I'm looking, I'm like, oh, wow, like, I don't know any of these guys. It's going to be it's going to be a chill night. After the Niners game, I was like, thank God, no stress win tonight.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been any different. And so thank God things are kind of going our way around the league. But just once again, the Kings just flat out did not show up. And we're just, we're lucky that Sabonis had a freaking career night, or else it's a completely different narrative.
If I told you before the game started that the Kings would only have 103 points, you would have said, oh my gosh, they're going to lose. But, because Memphis really had nobody playing, they weren't able to score the ball. But yeah, it's one of those games. They're going to have to play a heck of a lot better the rest of this road trip.
Yeah.
Or they won't, or it will be just like the last road trip where it starts off good and then it ends poorly. But I don't think they'll play this poorly again. I don't.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, but Grant,
I hope not.
Yeah, go ahead. Grant, Andrew, I was going to ask you this, though. Are we really that surprised? We're talking about a team this season when they've lost 89 points, 97 points.
You know what? I'm
you know what I mean?
Not that surprised, you're right. But this one was surprising. This one was like, wow. We had and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but they're off a back-to-back. They're playing with a bunch of no-namers, and we were rested up. It's just, this one was a little surprising to me, but as it pertains to the playoffs, when we look back at the win and loss column, a win is a win. And I'll take it, but anyways.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining us. Thanks again. Come on again. Appreciate it. Hey, Ryan, I want to talk about New Works Plumbing, plumbing needs and repairs. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call that number on your screen. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. And remember, they are available 24/7 for all of your plumbing needs. That's New Works Plumbing. They've got a fix for you. Kings win. They are on their way to Miami. Let me tell you something. When you're traveling and you get to go from Memphis to Miami, you think like you just hit the freaking lottery. All right? Like, you think you hit the freaking lottery. Trust me on that.
So partner, since you're such a well-traveled individual, how different is it walking around on a day off in Memphis versus walking around on a day off in Miami?
Not to be disrespectful, but I'm just going to call it the way it is. I wouldn't recommend walking around the city of Memphis. It's, in my opinion, a dangerous city. I never felt safe there.
As is many cities, by the way.
But Memphis to me, I live in Miami. I've never felt unsafe walking around in Miami. And I mean that. I feel very unsafe walking around in many cities in America, including Sacramento, to be honest with you. I never felt unsafe, and I still don't, walking around Miami, whether it's the Brickell area or, Miami has areas just like any other city where, you really wouldn't want to go to, but I've never felt unsafe walking around in Miami. That's not true in Memphis and other cities in America. So, and that includes Sacramento, by the way. Downtown Sacramento is no picnic to go for a walk, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, as in many cities, if you're in the wrong parts, but yeah, it's a problem.
Yep. But the Kings will leave. They'll get, I'm positive they're leaving tonight. I can't imagine anyone staying in Memphis if you didn't have to. So I would imagine they're on their way to the airport soon. and it's a quick flight, 90 minutes, and then they'll be in Miami. And the guys can go out tonight. You know, Miami's a vibrant nightlife,
Go
even on a
out
Monday
tonight?
night.
Would the guys
And
go out?
you know, in Miami, they'll go out. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Do you
Yeah.
guys still get on the golf course during the season, or at least on game days?
Not on game day. Off days, yes. And the Kings have a lot of golfers. Now, I don't know if they golf a lot during the regular season, but Malik Monk is an avid golfer. Keegan Murray is an avid golfer. I mean, like avid, where they play whenever they can. Game day, no, they don't play on a game day. Do they play on the road? Not to the best of my knowledge. Vince Carter used to play on the road all the time when we were traveling. Garrett Temple would play with him a lot on the road, but not. It would always be on an off day, not a game day.
No more good old days with Michael and Charles and all those guys playing on game days. All right.
Well, listen, I don't know about those guys, you know, but I'm just telling you, when
Yeah, I
I
get
travel with the Kings, I don't ever recall a player playing on a game day. I don't. Yeah.
There you go. Well, the Kings head to Naples, as he said, beautiful Miami.
Somebody says
take on
the
the
flight
Heat.
arrives in Miami, scheduled at 1:45 a.m. Okay, so by the time you get to the hotel, it will be 2:15. I live in Miami, by the way. Okay,
It's early.
trust me. Miami is a very late night city. So I mean, if you really want to go out at 3 a.m. in Miami, not a problem.
No doubt. No doubt. Some of the most beautiful beaches in the world.
I love Miami. It's a vibrant city. It's phenomenal. I now know the city very well, obviously, and but it's also very expensive. It's gotten to be a very expensive city, very expensive, because during the pandemic, everybody moved down there. Everyone. I mean, the rent skyrocketed. The cost of living skyrocketed down there during the pandemic. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. What a weird time. Glad we're out of it.
Somebody asked, do I like living in Miami more than Sacramento? Yes. I miss the people of Sacramento. I miss the connection with the people. But like Miami compared to Sacramento, come on now. Come on.
I think you could have answered that question with a question.
Now, I will say this about Sacramento. You really can't beat Sacramento for everything within a short radius. When I moved to Sacramento in 1987, the best line anyone ever gave me when they said, do you know anything about Sacramento? And I said, no. They go, it's nothing in the middle of everything. And I've always thought that's the best way to describe Sacramento. Nothing in the middle of everything is a perfect way for me when I think of Sacramento.
Yeah, that is a perfect way to put it. I would also include at your pace. Not as perfect as what you said, but it's a little bit more relaxed here, wouldn't you say? Probably than where you are in Miami.
I love living in Sacramento. Don't get me wrong. I love living in the Sacramento area. I love Northern California. I love living there. I don't like living there anymore, but for decades loved it. I think Northern California is a phenomenal place to live. I don't think it's as good as it used to be, but that's just me. But Miami is like, there's something about like that weather all the time, and it gets humid in the summer, but I like eating outdoors. You know what I mean? Like, I like being outdoors at cafes and restaurants, and I like I like people watching. Like, I'm really into people watching, and the people watching in Miami is phenomenal. Like, and there's so many great areas to do that. And there's a lot of different areas of South Florida, such as Fort Lauderdale, which is great. Palm Beach is great. There are a lot of other places, so there you have it.
There you go.
All right. We
Big
thank you
shout
for your donation, Joe. Thank you very much. Lemon character jumping in excitement with his heart beating out of his chest. There you go. All right.
Did
I
you
would
just
like to
describe
live
a
near,
sticker?
Bucky says he wants to live near Bennett's. That's safe. That'd be a good deal. Yeah.
Very safe. Yes.
Yeah.
If you guys have any update on Keegan Murray, we're scouring, checking our sources right now.
I
Throw
have
it
been
in the
looking. I
chat.
haven't seen anything. I have not seen anything yet.
I know that it's coming up. We'll give you an update if we see one.
Yeah, I've been trying to look and find what might have happened to him, but nothing that's come across. All right.
And I don't want to get into hypotheticals because we know nothing.
Right.
But that would be a big loss for the Kings,
Yeah.
especially moving into,
Yeah.
I would call it the meat and potatoes of this road trip.
No question about it. Absolutely. I would agree with you. Hey, I want to tell you about Calusa Sunrise. And if you go to calusasunrise.com, Blazona Development has got Sunrise Landing in Calusa and 6 models to choose from. No Mellorews, no homeowners. Phase 1 is sold out. These are beautiful homes in Calusa at Sunrise Landing. And again, if you go to calusasunrise.com, you get all the information and more. That is Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development in Calusa. Sacramento wins. They have Miami coming up next, followed by Indiana and Chicago.
They've made their way on this road trip, found a way. They're playing well in January right now. Hopefully they roll into Miami and play a little bit better than they did tonight.
Yeah. And, there's no home court in Miami. The crowd there stinks. It's not a hard place to play with the crowd. It's, the Kings have historically had a terrible record playing in South Florida, but it has nothing to do with the crowd,
It's the early start time. Isn't it more of the early start time?
Not when you're already on the road. They're in the central time zone and they have been now so no, not that would not affect them for the game in Miami because they're only changing by 1 hour. They're used to right now being in the central time zone because they got there after the Warriors game, played in Dallas, day off, been in Memphis. So they're now acclimated to the time difference, and 1 hour is not going to make that big of a difference. It will if you watch the game on TV. They'll make it into a big deal, but trust me, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I've always found that aspect of the game fascinating.
Yeah. Haunted Horse thinks that my shirt is camouflaged against the background almost like he planned it. Well, just so you know, I did plan on having a purple scheme in honor of Jerry Reynolds today. So I did pick this shirt out on behalf of having Jerry on at halftime to celebrate his 80th birthday because I did want it all to match. So I'm Haunted Horse. Thank you for noticing that, my friend. Awesome. There you go. Somebody wants to know if I'm going to go to the game in Miami. No, I have not been to an NBA game since I left. The last NBA game I was at never got started. That was in March when the game against the Pelicans got postponed, and then that was it. That's the last time I've been in an NBA arena, and I'm not planning on going anytime soon. So no, I will not be at the game.
How bizarre. What a bizarre time in the world. But what an amazing time tonight. It was so cool. I just have to say personally, sitting here and just being a fan like everybody else, watching you and Jerry celebrate his birthday. So I appreciate it, Grant, and I appreciate everybody. You take us home. Tell us a good story about Jerry.
Well, there are so many great stories. And thank you, Ryan. Appreciate you very much. There are so many great stories about Jerry. I think probably the things that I've always appreciated about Jerry, I don't ever recall Jerry saying no. Jerry did the Rotary luncheon circuit. Jerry talked at all various groups. Jerry always had time for the fans, no matter what we were doing, with genuine interest. Jerry was never about himself. Jerry never had fancy clothes. Never spent money on fancy stuff, was just a good old country boy from Indiana. And when he moved to California from Kansas City, it didn't change him. He's the same guy. I met Jerry at a restaurant towards the end of 1987, the summer of 1987. It was the first time I met Jerry. I think the restaurant was called Flanagan's on Northgate Boulevard. I may be off on the restaurant, but I'm not off on the location. Northgate Boulevard. And Tom Curran had done the Kings for the first 3 years, and he was still the TV voice of the Kings. And I'd gotten to know Tom, and Tom was very nice. And we walked into this restaurant. He goes, I have someone that I want you to meet. He's the best. You're going to love this guy. And Tom Curran introduced me that day to Jerry Reynolds. And I actually sat next to Jerry at lunch that day. And you just knew right away that you had met a great individual. And I think when you are with somebody day in and day out, like I was with Jerry Reynolds, we used to play tennis all the time. We hung out all together. I mean, Jerry and I loved playing tennis together. And Jerry was pretty good, but Jerry had the damn slice and undercut everything. So his game plan against me was to get me to run and wear me down. But I'm a lot younger than Jerry. I was in better shape than Jerry, but Jerry beat me. He beat me. I beat Jerry. He beat me. We had pretty even matches, but we always enjoyed playing tennis together. We just enjoyed being around one another. He was always fun, and we laughed every day. I would say the thing about Jerry Reynolds, we laughed every single day. I don't recall too many days where we didn't laugh. Maybe the day we were traveling from Chicago to Minnesota when we learned of Kobe Bryant's passing, and we certainly didn't laugh that day. But we always brought humor into our lives, both on the air and off the air. And I think the one thing that I always appreciated about Jerry, and still to this day do, is Jerry will always make you feel comfortable. Jerry will always put you at ease. And if you're having a bad day, Jerry will make it better. And if there's something that's not going well, Jerry will make it seem like it's going better. And when we did games for so many years, for most of those years, the Kings were a bad team. And so I always try to bring the humor out of Jerry. And I think that's why people love watching the game so much, even when the teams that we were covering were bad during those years. Because it was like, man, I got to wait and hear what Jerry has to say. And so it was a fit. I knew what Jerry was going to say before he said it. He knew what I was going to say before I said it. He was just a pleasure being around. And I do miss that part of not doing the Kings anymore. Is I miss the people always ask me, what do I miss the most? You know what I miss the most? I miss being around people. I miss being around Jerry. I miss being around G-Man. I miss being around the coaches. I miss talking to the referees before every game. I miss talking to the other team's announcers that I became so friendly with. When I left, I was one of the most senior announcers in the league. I had 32 years under my belt. There aren't a lot of people that have announced NBA basketball that can say they did it for 32 years. And I left in the prime of my life. I was 60 years old. I wanted to go 50 years. I wanted to be Gary Gerald, So I feel like I got a lot taken away from me. But the one thing that you can never take away from me are my friendships and Jerry Reynolds. Jerry Reynolds is exactly what you see. There's no phony about Jerry. There's no pretend with Jerry. There's no anything fake about Jerry. Okay? I appreciate the realism of Jerry, who, again, always had time for everyone. I did the Jerry Reynolds show. I'll never forget the time we had Larry Bird come to the studios of Channel 31. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world, to be sitting on a set with Jerry Reynolds and Larry Bird at Channel 31 in Sacramento. I'll never forget that. And this was before cell phones. And yet, somehow, some way, people knew that Larry Bird was coming to the Channel 31 studios, and we had a whole bunch of people lining up on the drive into the Channel 31 studio. That was neat. And I had a chance to kind of eavesdrop on many conversations between Jerry and Larry Bird. And I think the other thing about Jerry that always struck me, whenever we traveled to cities, the number of people that would come up and talk to Jerry, like Tommy Heinsohn. Like, I'll never forget being at the Boston Garden, and I walked into the press room, and Jerry was sitting there with Tommy Heinsohn. So I got my food and I sat down with them. And Tommy goes, "Hey, how are you?" And I go, "Good." That's the only words I said. I listened to them share stories about when Tommy coached the Celtics and the players that he was around. And I listened to Jerry talk about coaching Bob McAdoo at Vincennes. And like, you don't get a chance to be involved in those conversations. And whenever we were on the road, whether it was Cotton Fitzsimmons when we were in Phoenix, who Jerry worked with and knew so well, like listening to Jerry and Cotton Fitzsimmons was like educational for me. The great stories that I heard and so many of the things that I learned just from listening. Because early in my career, all of this was new to me. Like, I was a sponge. I tried to absorb whatever I could. And I didn't start doing the games with Jerry until the mid-90s. But Jerry was the coach or the general manager. So Jerry was always around. But I will say this, and I've shared this story before. There are very few people that you'll go through in life, or at least I've found this in my 64 years. There are very few people in life that you'll never hear a bad word about. And that was Jerry. I never heard a bad word about Jerry. Never heard a player badmouth Jerry. Never heard a media member badmouth Jerry. Never ever had a fan come up to me and badmouth Jerry. I was never out in a restaurant or the shopping store or grocery store or whatever, and never heard someone, and I talk to people every day. Never heard anyone ever say they don't like Jerry Reynolds. How great is it to be 80 years old and you have lived a life where there's no negativity associated with you in any way, shape, or form? That's pretty darn special. And I'm not just talking about as an announcer or a general manager or what he did for the Monarchs. I'm talking about as a person. Like, that's pretty special. You know that? That's pretty special. One time, one, and only one, in all of the years that I was around Jerry Reynolds, once did I ever see Jerry in a bad mood. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. The Kings had training camp over in Honolulu, 2 games against the Lakers. And I got there either the first or second day. The Kings had left, and I got there, I want to say, maybe the second day or the third day of practice. And I swear on my life, I walk into the practice facility and the Kings were practicing. And Danny Ainge comes running up to me, leaves the court and comes running up to me. And he goes, "You're not going to believe this." I go, "What? What?" He goes, "Ralph can't run." Talking about Ralph Sampson. I go, "What do you mean he can't run?" Danny goes, "He can't run." And I look on the sideline. This is day 2. Half the team is on the sideline with their bodies wrapped in ice or their feet in ice buckets while the rest of the team is practicing. And I watched Ralph. Bill Russell traded for Ralph without giving him a physical, and Ralph could not run. And I'll never forget Marty McNeil of the Sacramento Bee and Don Drysdale of the Sacramento Union, and maybe Ari Gresswich. I can't remember that. But I do remember Marty, and I do remember Double D. And we're around Jerry Reynolds after practice, and they're asking him questions. And it was the most distraught, upset, unhappy Jerry Reynolds that I've ever seen. Jerry knew that in day 2 of training camp that he had no chance with this team. No chance. And that is the only time in all of my years being around Jerry Reynolds that I saw the man in a bad mood. We could lose by 40 on the road, and Jerry wouldn't be in a bad mood because he knew there was a game the next day. Didn't happen. Didn't matter what was going on with his family, if he had family issues like we all do. He always made you feel good. Did you ever watch a telecast with me and Jerry where you said those guys are in a bad mood, or those guys don't like one another, or they're not doing a good job? I'm not bragging about me, but I'm just asking, did you ever turn the game on when it was me and Jerry and ever get the feeling that we didn't like what we were doing? Like, even one time, did you ever turn the game on and ever say to yourself, gee, you know what, Grant and Jerry, they don't really like what they're doing? We loved what we did. And I've always said this, and Jerry would say it too. If I didn't need the income, I wouldn't have cared if the Kings paid me or not. I would have done the games for free. It was an honor and a privilege to do the games. And the best years that I ever had doing the games were with 2 individuals. One is my late, great friend, Derek Dickey, who I loved like a family member, who tragically passed away after a debilitating stroke in the prime of his life. And then Jerry Reynolds. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I got a chance to do decades of games, many with a man that everyone loves, cherishes, and wants to be around. Like, think about that. And they didn't want to be around Jerry because he was some megastar. They didn't want to be around Jerry because he won world championships. They didn't want to be around Jerry because, you know, he was in the Hall of Fame. They wanted to be in his presence because he was funny and made you feel good. Period. Right? Because he was a class act and is a class act. So in closing, I'm so happy that we're celebrating his 80th birthday. I'm happy that his mind is still sharp as a whip, that he still has a great sense of humor, that he's able to go on long walks every day. And more than that, I'm happy that I consider him one of my great friends. And to me, he's a family member. And he always will be. On that note, thank you for your support. Thank you for making this show what it is. On behalf of Ryan, on behalf of Jerry, couldn't do it without you. We'll talk to you coming up with the one and only Jerry Reynolds. Let's see, the Miami game might preempt us. We might have to do that show on Thursday. I'll keep you tuned, but we'll have the Jerry Reynolds segment. It'll probably be Thursday this week, but I'll let you know. And Ryan will be on 30 minutes before tip-off against Miami. Jerry will be on with halftime and then the post-game show. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. And just remember this. Holy moly, Jim Bob Bowley. Jerry, he looks pretty upset, huh? He's as upset as a rained-on rooster. Jerry, what the hell is a rained-on rooster? It's a rooster who's out in the rain. Okay, Jerry. On that note, holy moly, Jim Bob Bowley. So long, everybody.